Today we're going to talk about mental illness and strong relationships. Where do we start? I'm Angela Howard, and I am passionate about breaking the stigma of mental illness among fellow Christians. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. When relationships are blindsided by mental health issues, there are a lot of emotions that are swirling around. Frustration and doubt and anger, even at God and at one another, and sometimes at other people who just don't understand what you're going through. At the same time, I think there's a sense of determination. I know that's how I felt when my husband was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I felt like even though people were saying that I should just give up and walk away, I felt like this is worth fighting for. It's difficult when you have so many swirling emotions just spinning your world upside down. So how do you address the issue of, healthy relationships in the middle of this struggle? The first thing that I would really focus on is allowing yourself to grieve. Not doing this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made in the beginning of this journey. I really didn't allow for myself to, process that emotion in the middle of everything that we were facing. Grief is a natural process when you are facing something that is going to really change your life from here on out. It's not something that you should hide from. In fact, grief is also not a straight line. It's not something that you go from point A to point B to point C. And it's something that you want to really allow yourself to process through. You need to be able to grieve what you thought your relationship would be with this other person, and maybe even some of the dreams that you had dreamed together for your life. You need to grieve the reality of what your life is today in the here and now, because it might be really difficult. You also might need to grieve the obstacles that mental illness has really brought into your day-to-day life. There's really no other way to put it except for that it's okay to grieve. And you're grieving a loss of what once was, and you're also beginning to rebuild a new life together. Second part I would focus on is really focusing on the power of God's grace. When we receive God's grace into our lives, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed and just wondering if we can make it another day, I think we begin to realize that His power is sufficient in our weakness. We don't have to go it alone. We don't have to respond perfectly every circumstance, because He can come in and help us through each time that we fall on our faces and we mess up. We don't have to know exactly what to do each step of the way, but we can just receive His grace in our time of need. I love what it says in Matthew 5:4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. We're not alone in our grief. God's grace will comfort us in our time of need. It will sustain us, and it will carry us through those difficult times. So we're going to be talking about mental illness and healthy relationships for the rest of this month. And I would encourage you just to share your struggles in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be sharing some great tips and encouragement for anyone that is either struggling with mental illness themselves or have a loved one who does. I'll see you next time.